You are now tuned in to 13signsastrology.com. I want to say greetings, love, peace to the family and to the friends and to the newcomers of this particular channel. On this particular episode, I want to speak on magic versus mysticism. And to really understand magic, I first kind of want to break down, I guess, some of the myths pertaining to magic and some of the spookisms and, some of the fears that people have pertaining to magic. I want to kind of address that first of all. Now, when you get into magic and understanding magic, what you have to understand is that magic is not evil. It doesn't have to be evil. Magic is not satanic, or it's not of the devil, or whatever you may want to call that evil dark force. It doesn't have to be about those things. Now, don't get me wrong, there are evil magicians, there are evil practitioners when it comes to understanding magic, and then there are some people that perform magic and demonstrate magic for good. And that's kind of like what I want to address today on this particular episode. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but I guess I'm going to go ahead and go there. Jesus was a magician. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. They're like, man, magic is evil, and you're not going to put that on my Jesus. You're not going to put that on my Krishna. Or you're not going to put that on my Savior. My Savior wasn't into these dark arts or these dark forms of manipulation. But if you really get into researching Jesus, even from a biblical perspective, and when I say research him, I mean if you research Jesus from not just from the Bible or what you heard from your preacher or what you may have heard from some form of an imam or some form of a rabbi, but when I say research, I mean researching Jesus from many different perspectives. Jesus is written about not just in the Bible, but Jesus is written about in almost every single culture. And I want to use Jesus for an example in this episode because right now in our world, most of us, or many of us I should say, know about Jesus. Jesus is probably the most popular celebrity or the most popular figure that there is right now. But what you don't know is that you don't really know a lot about his background. And the reason being is because, and I've said this on many different episodes, the research in the history of Jesus that you read about in the Bible is only going into his year ministry. Everything that you read about Jesus doing in the Bible, this is all based on 1 year, beloved. 1 year. And what you got to remember is that I know some people don't believe this and they believe Jesus was crucified on the cross and he died and things of that nature. But when you really get into researching the background story, you'll find out that Jesus, before he got into really performing all of those miracles, which many of those miracles were actually magical spells, he went and he was an initiate into a school. He started out as a neophyte and he moved his way up. Jesus went into Egypt. Jesus went and traveled all over the world. This is how he took on the title of Messiah. See, Messiah just means one who travels a lot or one who travels frequently. For those people that research the term, or some people, if you get into researching it, you'll find out that Messiah means one who is anointed. So Jesus was anointed or deemed to be a master magician or master practitioner, but actually he was much more than a magician. I use the term magician because this is a term that we're most familiar with, but Jesus was more so a mystic. Jesus was one who knew how to manipulate the elements to get results that would benefit not only himself, but results that would benefit the masses of the people. So Jesus would be an individual that you can say practice what some people might call white magic. And it's not like I'm making this stuff up. Even I'll just use an example in the Bible. You read about Jesus walking on water. You read about Jesus feeding the multitudes and the masses of the people with like just 2 pieces of fish and a few loaves of bread. He fed thousands of people with this small amount of food. How was he able to do this? He was practicing a form of magic. See, magic, what is magic? Let me define magic for you. My definition of magic is one who, or a magician, is one who manipulates the elements, which are air, water, earth, and fire, to get a result that would benefit either yourself positively or would benefit a group of people. And this is exactly what Jesus did. This is how he was able to do what he did for so long. And this is actually how he tricked the world into believing that he died or that he was crucified on the cross. See, Jesus wasn't crucified on the cross. He was made to appear as though he was dead. If you research Jesus from the text of the Quran, because see, many of you guys just read about Jesus and you read about him from the Bible. And the Bible doesn't really go into everything. You got to remember that the Bible is a compilation of the stories told from the Hebrew culture. But the story of Jesus is old. I mean, it goes back further than the Bible. The Bible that you read today is only about 300 to 400 years old. And most of you are reading a different version of the Bible, whether it's King James or the New American Version. You're reading these different versions of the Bible, and this is why a lot of people are confused. Because you haven't researched Jesus. You're just reading about it from one instance or one place. And research means that you reread about Jesus in this culture. You read about Jesus in that culture. You go and look up the definitions of the words. You read about Jesus in the Hebrew text. You see, so when you get into researching Jesus, you have to be able to understand the language that Jesus spoke, because Jesus didn't speak English, for one thing. And that's what a lot of people fail to realize. So Jesus was definitely a magician, and all the things that he did was basically a way of demonstrating magic. But Jesus was more than a magician because he was a mystic. And a mystic, what is the difference between a mystic and a magician? A mystic is one who lives a lifestyle of magic, whereas anybody can be a magician. A magician is just one who masters the illusion or masters the art of making you think that one thing is a thing when really it's another. So I can say that I'm a magician if I can get you to look that way, and while you're looking that way, I can do a magical spell, or not even do a magical spell because it's not even a spell, but if I'm getting you to look that way and say, for instance, I have a ball in my hand, in this hand, I'm going to tell you that I'm going to make this ball disappear. If I can get your attention to look somewhere else, then I can, if I'm quick and if I'm witty, I can make that ball disappear, and then you would call me a magician. This just means that I mastered the illusion or mastered the appearance and making it look like I did a thing or I made something disappear when really I didn't. The only thing I really did was got your attention to look elsewhere. So that's what a magician does. Really, a magician, you can say a magician is not a deceiver. I'm not going to say a magician is a deceiver, but a magician is definitely a manipulator. Now, there are different levels of magic, of course. I mean, you have like the magicians like Houdini and those type of individuals, and then you have magicians that really practice a higher form of magic, and they really work with nature, and they work with the birds, and they work with their aura, and they work with their chakras and things of that nature to manipulate the forces around them. See, what you have to remember is that we live in this material world, but this material world is ruled and dominated by what's called the plane of force. So a magician learns how to tap into the plane of force to gain results that normally he or she would not have been able to gain had they not tapped into that particular plane of force. So that's what a magician is. Now, a mystic, now Jesus was a part of a mystical order. It was called the Magi order. And a mystic is one who lives in the lifestyle of a magician or lives the lifestyle of practicing magic. A magician is not one who just does tricks in front of people and demonstrates things in front of people and crowds and things of that nature. But a mystic is one who does a lot of things behind the scenes and not to be seen of men or women. See, a mystic is really, to be a mystic, you have to really get into astrology. And this order that Jesus was a part of, these were astrologers. And these were mystics, and these were healers on a high level. These were people that can cause rainstorms to happen. These were people that, when rainstorms were happening, they could stop the rain and make the sun come out. This is getting into mysticism. See, a magician is just someone that, I could be a magician by just giving you a spell and you read that spell or that chant over and over again, and then now you're a magician. Because a magician, just what I'm saying is that a magician only does it one time, whereas a mystic lives this lifestyle and practices magic over and over again, perpetually. So Jesus was a magi. He was a part of an ancient order. He was initiated into this even really before he was born, because if you research the story of Jesus, you'll find out that, remember that it was a particular individual that wanted to kill all the different babies because they knew the Messiah was going to be born. So I think it was King Herod. And King Herod wanted to basically kill Jesus before he was born, because he knew that Jesus was going to be born, and he was going to be born with all these different gifts. So if you read the Bible, you'll find out that these wise men, these three wise men, guided his mother and his father and guided Jesus out of the land that he was born in and moved him into a secret place and hid him out for a particular time, because they knew that this wicked king or this evil king was going around and killing all the firstborn children. See, this is what made him a magi or mystic, was the fact that he qualified to be this before he was even born. He was his mother's first child. So that's what made him, or gave him the juice to be this initiate into this secret order, even before he was born. And these mystics, if you really get into researching the story carefully about the wise men, and this all can be looked up in the Bible. I mean, all of it is not in the Bible, but it can be researched in the Bible. And if you get into researching the story in the Bible, you'll find out that these wise men were practicing astrology. Because when they moved Jesus to the particular new land that he was supposed to have been moved to, you notice that they had to look to the stars, and the stars guided them to the particular destination that Jesus was supposed to be hid out at. So this would make them astrologers. This means that astrology is being practiced in the Bible right in front of your eyes. Jesus, when he moved to this particular new place or this new location, you'll notice that he did this up under a certain moon phase. He did this up under a new moon phase. So this is getting into understanding planetary astrology and things of that nature. So a mystic is one who not only just reads chants and spells and things of that nature, but a mystic has an understanding of the cosmos. A mystic has an understanding of the stars, and a mystic knows when to do a thing. And knowing when to do a thing may seem magical, and it may seem all deep, and it may make you look like a prophet and all these different terms, but in actuality, this is just one who is a master at astrology. So that's what Jesus, this is the order that Jesus was a part of. He was a healer. A mystic heals people. They use their gifts to heal people. People that practice magic, what they do is that they just work spells for the most part to benefit themselves. Like they may work a love spell so they can attract a mate, or they may work a spell to attract money and things of that nature. That makes you a magician when you do things like that. And I'm not knocking that. I mean, I'm not saying that, you know, if you are a magician and you are good at, you know, attracting things, and you are good at kind of manipulating the ethers and manipulating the elements to get certain outcomes, I mean, that's great. But it's a lot more to it than that, because you have to live a lifestyle of a magician, which will make you a mystic. Because when you live that lifestyle, it gets instilled in you. And that's when real magic begins to play out. Because a mystic is playing out magic when they don't even realize it. Because a mystic is so in tune with nature that everything becomes magical. Your whole life is magic. A mystic believes that everything that happens to them And the situations that happen to them are happening to them for a reason. And that's the magic in and of itself. The situation that they may be in. That's what makes a mystic different, is that they don't need to just read off of a spell or chant some word over and over again, or go and breathe in and out and do the Om chant or something like that. A mystic is one who basically looks at their whole life like it's magical. So that's the big difference. And magic is really, in this day and time, has been kind of chalked up and kind of been written off as being evil, and it has a lot of people scared to practice it. And this is just because of the fact that the evil and dark magicians, because there are dark magicians out there, that don't want you to know that magic is real and don't want you to know that magic works. So of course they're going to go tell you magic is of the devil and magic is evil. But when you really get into understanding, it's like, who is the devil? So you got to look up these terms and these words, and instead of getting caught up on these terms and words, and these words have energies attached to them. So like if I say the term devil, some people out there may get scared, or they may get reluctant. And this is why they put labels and things like that on there, when really if you look up the term devil, that just means one who's really rebellious. Anybody can be a devil. Like a devil, there's no such thing as a devil in hell with horns and a pitchfork and you're going to burn and go into the fire if you demonstrate this form of magic or whatever. You're going to go down there with the devil or whatever. Like, really, to me, what makes a person a devil is one who hides this information from people. That's what I would call a devil, because you know that this works and you don't want other people to benefit from it, so you keep it for yourself and you say, this is mine and I don't want anybody to know about this. So that's a devil. A magician is one who may value a particular crystal or a particular stone, and they may feel like, say for instance, this stone right here. This stone is moonstone, and a particular magician may feel like this moonstone is magical, and they need this moonstone in order to practice their magic. So they're dependent on outside things to practice their magic, whereas a mystic can practice magic or demonstrate magic without having any objects, without having any things, because magic is in the heart. And a mystic takes the time to learn all about the different star constellations, and take the time to learn about what's called the laws of time and the laws of karma and the law of opportunity and the law of attraction, and they make this a part of their life, their day-to-day life. So that's what really kind of like separates a mystic from a magician. So don't let people in this world make you feel like getting into these things are evil, or getting into these things are, some form of devil worship, or it's demonic or whatever, because it's not. Now, don't get me wrong. Anytime you practice magic, you have to remember the laws of polarity. In order to be a good magician, you have to know the universal laws by heart. And you have to know that every time you do a spell, there's always going to be a polarity to it. You are part of a magical spell. The way that you got here was a magical spell, because you came through your mother's womb, and it could be considered a miracle. The fact that you are here right now is a miracle. So that's magic playing out. You got here through magic without even realizing it. So you can't really knock magic. It's just that you have to be careful. Magic is like a loaded gun, and you have to be careful with when and how you use it. It's about the timing. Timing is everything when it comes to magic and demonstrating magic. Nowadays, magic is getting really popular because you got movies like Harry Potter, and you got shows like Avatar, and all of these shows are really just demonstrating magic. What would make, I guess you could say, what would make a magician different from a mystic is that, like I said, a magician would only do it one time, and a magician would depend on outside circumstances before they can really perform their magic, whereas a mystic can perform magic up under any circumstance. And no matter the outcome, whether good or bad, a mystic will embrace the outcome as being right for them. So when you go through negative and bad things, you have to look at it like you are in the right place. That was the outcome that the universe wanted for you to help your spell to work. Whereas a magician may say, well, I did a money ritual and it didn't work out for me because I didn't get the money. You're dependent on outside things. A mystic for instance, may use the law of attraction to attract things. They're going to look past the money. So a mystic will do a spell to attract exactly what they want. Instead of doing a money ritual or something like that, they'll just do a spell to attract that very thing and go specific to what they want. Many people, they just want money, but they don't really know what to do with the money. So in order to really live this lifestyle of magic, beloved, you have to really know yourself. You have to know a lot about the zodiac. You have to know a lot about numbers and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, you really just have to look at it like the situation that you're in is right for you. That's what was meant for you at that particular time, and in that particular space, and in that particular phase of your lifestyle and of your life at that time. Because I've been getting a lot of emails, and a lot of people, they're asking me, and they're like, I want to become a magician. I want to become an initiate. I want you to work a dark route for me so I can get this person out of my life. I want you to do this for me so that this can stop happening to me, or I can get that. Or you're dependent on outside things and outside forces. You're letting outside forces rule your life. Whereas a mystic is going to accept the situation they're in, or accept the person that they're with. And they're going to work with that as their reality. And they're going to let nature get that person out of their life. They're going to let it happen through nature and naturally. They don't need to read a chant or a spell. And I know you guys, I'm going to say this and I'm going to go ahead and shut down. I know you guys may see a lot of things on my site, like different spells and rituals and things of that nature. You may say, well, you're a magician, Ram Hotep. That's what you practice. I mean, you practice magic. You got money rituals all on your site, things of that nature. I simply have these things on my site to open your mind up to the reality of magic. To open your mind up to the reality of changing your life through the manipulation of forces. However, you can't stop there. This is why I teach astrology as well. You have some magicians that don't know a lick of astrology. They don't know nothing about astrology. They just magicians that's dependent on their outside forces in the exterior to change their life. They're dependent on what one of my teachers would call outformation. Whereas a mystic is informed. And a mystic transforms through information, which is internal knowledge. So I hope that particular information helped, helping you to understand the difference between magic and mysticism, and understanding that it's written about in all of the scriptures and the Bible and all of the things you're reading about. This is nothing but magic playing out. If you believe that Jesus did these things, then you basically believe that Jesus was a magician without you even realizing it. Now, some people may try to debate me and say, well, Jesus didn't exist. You up here talking about Jesus, you based this whole video on Jesus. There's no such character as Jesus. He didn't exist. You got to remember, Jesus is a mythological character. All mythology is rooted in history. All of it. So Jesus, whether you believe he exists or not, the events that you're reading about Jesus, there are real men that live this life. There are real men that can make it rain. There are real men that can cause it to be cloudy outside. There are real men and women, that can will themselves into certain situations. So magic is real. It's really the only reality. Everything that happens to you is a form of magic. Your birth, your life, and your death. So I thank you for listening. And I thank you for watching. I'm going to go ahead and shut this video down. And until we meet again, I'm wishing you magic, harmony, and peace, beloved.